Ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Olympia. The 60-day session is off to a hot start. Yes, indeed, it feels more like an 105-day session already, with bills flying by the hundreds in every direction. Let's talk about old business first. Hearst, a water issue which held us up last year and kept the capital budget from being passed, is still being negotiated. There is some movement. I'm happy to say that it's moving in the right direction, but it is not there yet. But we're only 2 weeks in, so we're not in a panic mode just yet. At least it is moving in the right direction. It was moving backwards until recently, so that's good news, and that means if that is solved at some point, and I hope it will be, that we'll have a capital budget, and that is ready to go. So once Hearst is solved, we can get that out quickly and get those projects back on. There is an alternative to Hearst that's been floated by one of our local representatives. It's called the One Washington Water Bill. I think it's an excellent bill. Basically takes all the things that the urban folks want to do to us in rural Washington and puts it back on them. We limit the amount of gallons they can use in their homes. We require environmental impact statements when they build new projects. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander, and frankly, when you see these thousands and thousands of new homes and apartments being built in Seattle and they're worried about us drilling a few wells, I think it's a good measure to put that back in front of them and say, okay, then you do it too. So we'll see how far that goes. Probably not too far, but it certainly makes the message. Well, the big budget is looking good because we have tons of money. Frankly, for the first time in a long time, we have $1.4 billion in the reserve fund. We have about $600 to $700 million of additional revenue as the economy starts to really ramp up. And we are in pretty good shape. Now, of course, there will be people here that want to spend it all and more. That is not the position we take. As a matter of fact, my major bill this year is to reduce the property taxes that were increased under McCleary. We know that in the first year, everybody gets a property tax increase, and then in subsequent years, depending on where you live, those taxes will come back down. But look, we've had 4 years of record revenue, 4 years of record increases in revenue. It's time to give some back, and we feel this is the time to do it. So we are going to push very hard to roll some of those property taxes back. And speaking of McCleary, there are people here that actually want to renegotiate that idea. I don't think so. They're meeting, they're talking about it. I think in the end we're going to have the original bill. I don't think we're going to move up the $1 billion that the courts ask us to do. I just don't think it's necessary. I think we got it pretty right the first time, and there may be some minor adjustments, but I think McCleary, I hope, is behind us. And there's plenty of other issues to deal with in the coming weeks. Now remember, this is a very short session. The cutoff on the floor, a committee cutoff's just a week or two away, and then shortly after that we'll have a floor cutoff. It all reverses, and we go back to the Senate. So the fact is, this is going to go very quickly. All these bills you see, very few will see the light of day, but some of the more important ones we hope do make it, like Hearst, like the capital budget, and like our property tax reduction, it is very timely for that, given the price of homes as well. And we're dealing with those issues too. So stay tuned over the next few weeks. I think it's going to get even busier, and we'll have lots to tell you as it unfolds right here in Olympia. This is your State Representative, Kerry Condata. We'll see you soon.
Representative Steele, it's the beginning of the 2018 session, and the capital budget is the hot topic for discussion. Can you give a status on where that is?
Absolutely. You know, I serve on the Capital Budget Committee, and this past week, as we wrapped up our first week of session, we did pass out both the capital budget and the bonds necessary to fund that budget out of committee. We're continuing to work on that budget as a solution for Hearst, and we continue to focus on that budget as a leverage point to make sure we're getting what we need for the rural districts of Washington State.
And what is happening with Hearst? What kinds of proposals are you hearing, and is there a solution on the horizon?
Well, we certainly hope so. We continue to see proposals coming from both sides of the aisle, and I continue to review those proposals in hopes that we find a real workable solution and a meaningful solution to Hearst. Because as we know, this really isn't a partisan issue. This is a rural versus urban issue. And for my districts in the 12th, there are rural areas that really need this access to water. And so unless we have a workable solution, we won't be able to move forward with either a capital budget or a Hearst solution.
Are you hearing from constituents on Hearst and their concerns about Hearst?
Absolutely. All the time, almost daily, we get emails from constituents back home that are concerned about their access to water, that want to understand their water rights, that really believe they should have those water rights guaranteed to them as landowners. And we need to find a workable solution here at the legislature, and they're depending on us to do so.